Hi, welcome to ThePrint. We are here with you with our brand new show called Polygraph. We will try to look at the political happenings, decode them, give you a insightful, detailed account of what has been happening in the power corridors with our political editor DK Singh. Well, today's question is, why does PM Modi need an image makeover at the age of 70? He's celebrating his birthday today. The Bharatiya Janata Party has gone all out to do all kinds of things, right from cutting a 70 kg cake to gathering at India Gate at night. They're also doing a lot of welfare measures, including they have put up camps, they are feeding the needy, they are giving fruits and vegetables to all those where the help is required. So we will try to understand with Mr. DK Singh, why do we think he needs a makeover?
Well, first of all, it's a very good day to start a new show on the 70th birthday of the Prime Minister. Talking about the image makeover, since morning I have been looking at the Twitter handles of the ministers and BJP leaders and what they have been saying in public, how they have been greeting him, congratulating him. Many leaders, ministers, even BJP President JP Nadda, for instance, he has written an article in Amar Ujala. You have Smriti Irani, who has written an article in the Economic Times. You have Nripen Mishra, his former principal secretary to the Prime Minister. He has written an article in the Times of India. And the Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal, he has written for us. So all these leaders, they are kind of trying to, outsmart each other in a way, praising the Prime Minister, which is expected. But if you hear them carefully, for instance, Neelam was just telling me about what Prakash Javadekar said while launching an e-book comprising about 70 articles on the Prime Minister. He says, China, Pakistan भी सोचता होगा कि इंडिया ने किस चक्की का आटा खाया है. PM has done this, PM has done that. So very effusive praise. You have Tathagat Roy, the former governor. He says he is the incarnate of Lord Krishna. You were expecting all this, but as I was mentioning, you listen to these remarks, look at their Twitter handles, and actually there are two different kinds of feelings you get. One is, is this Congressy culture coming in the BJP so strongly? You look at Smriti Irani's article in the Economic Times, all praise of the Prime Minister without mentioning even a word about what is happening in her textile sector and how she, as a minister with support from the Prime Minister, is trying to change the things there. She has tweeted or retweeted at least 12 times or 12 posts since morning, all about Narendra Modi. Nothing about her ministry, nothing about her work. The same holds true for most of the ministers, most of the BJP leaders. Total sycophancy. And that's why you get a sense what is happening in the BJP. It is this Congress culture pervading the BJP totally. This is what the Congress people do for the Gandhi family. Anyway, the second feeling you get is, how the Prime Minister is kind of lonely at the top. With everybody trying to cling on to him to get his pound of flesh, her pound of flesh politically in terms of power, some organizational posts, or just to retain, to have a pie of power actually in states, the center, wherever. And that's why I'm talking about his image makeover, because now is the time probably for him, 6 years into power. And in fact, since October 2001, when he became the Chief Minister of Gujarat, it has been 19 years? He has remained undefeated. He has achieved what he set out to do, like the dominance of implementing his political agenda and ideological agenda in a way. Now it's probably time for him to think about his legacy, his own legacy. Not the legacy for the BJP, that BJP has become the predominant party in India. It's about his legacy as a statesman, as somebody who I would say has been the most popular since Nehru. And even Nehru's popularity was backed by the fact that he represented somebody who was part of the freedom movement, and everybody had some contribution to it, right from Sardar Patel, Mahatma Gandhi, everybody. So Nehru's popularity actually somehow gained more, from what others had also done during the freedom movement. It was not just his personality. It was a collective celebration by India of the freedom movement, and of course Nehru was part of it, and Nehru benefited from it. Since Nehru's time, when Narendra Modi is probably the only one who has got that kind of mass appeal in popularity. And that's why now, in his 6th year in power, he has to start thinking of his legacy. And when I talk about legacy, it's in terms of what people will remember him for. So, as I said, it's not about what the BJP, how he has built up the BJP, how he has made BJP what it is. It's about what the nation will remember him for. In his first term, what did he make his name for? For the things he did for the people. Today I was watching his documentary on this Namo App on his childhood. And then you have Narendra, the child who is playing the role of his Bal Narendra. He's asking everybody, "Aap kiske liye jeete hain? Who do you live for?" So the answer you finally get is, that's the sense of the documentary, is you live for the country, you live for others. And that's what Narendra Modi's life has been so far. The situation today is all that he has stood for. It's somehow you see there is a sense of big drift happening. Things are crumbling. Be it about economy, be it about national security, be it about pandemic management. So the focus is not on the governance. And Modi would like to be known for his governance, what he has done for the people. As it is, and all the crises I'm talking about are not going to go away in the next 3-4 years. And of course not if the drift continues, the drift we are witnessing. And that's probably why the Prime Minister needs to go for some image makeover, bring the focus back on governance. And to do that, first of all, he had to get rid of this team of sycophants all around. He has to have a team which works for him, which supplements his efforts, which supports him, instead of just clinging on to him for some benefit or the other. He needs to be seen as, bipartisan, I would say, politically non-partisan. And for that, I would say he should stop campaigning in assembly elections at least, because that is creating a lot of bad blood between the center and the chief minister, the states, opposition ruled states. So if he starts campaigning in West Bengal, you will see the kind of political mudslinging that will happen between Trinamool or Mamata Banerjee and the BJP leaders, including the Prime Minister. You have been seeing it every state. I mean, Congress chief ministers, other party chief ministers, basically taking him on. And unless you have everybody together, you cannot really return to the main task of governance. So to have everybody along, to get everybody along to achieve your goal, I think the Prime Minister needs to prioritize where he, or to what extent he should be getting involved in politics now, and to what extent he should be focusing on governance. I would say his total focus has to be on governance now, regardless of what happens to the BJP in assembly elections. In 2024, of course, he has to campaign because he has to give account of what he has done for the people. But in assembly elections, he doesn't have to. There is unnecessary bad blood spilling around.
Well, in the course of this live, we will also be taking questions. A few have already come, but you really talked a lot about legacy. So the fact that you're concentrating so much on legacy, are you suggesting that he will not be there for the 2024 elections as the PM candidate?
No, he'll definitely be there for 2024 elections. BJP will go to elections as him as the Prime Minister candidate again. But then he's 70 now. He'll be 74 in 2024.
Correct.
And unwritten code that he started in the BJP, that, after 75 you cannot hold
Yes.
an office, or you cannot be part of the government. Given the high standard or values he stands for, as far as I know, I have had a few interactions with him, though I cannot really divulge in what capacity and how and what we talk. But my impression is he's very candid, he's very clear about what he stands for, and I don't think he's going to make compromises on that. So post 75, I find it very unlikely that he'll carry on. And even in the RSS, don't forget, he has been long time RSS pracharak. And RSS itself has actually, again, it has not been announced, but RSS has already taken a decision that post 75, you do not hold any position in the organization. You should not be part of the decision-making body. So Bhagwat is, Mohan Bhagwat is RSS chief. He is just about 6 days elder to the Prime Minister. So you will see around that time, in 2025, you may see some change in RSS. And then probably the Prime Minister will also be doing anything. But of course, given the huge demand from the people, you don't know whether he'll come under pressure from the people then to change his mind. But as we understand now, probably the BJP will go to elections in 2024 under his leadership, and midway somewhere, he may decide to hand over the baton to somebody else.
Krishan wants to know, do you think PM has been ignoring important questions and only focusing on image building of the party and himself?
Look, you do not expect the Prime Minister to speak on every issue all the time. So, the PM ignoring questions, I think that question does not arise here. But yes, he has been trying to build his party right from the beginning. And his image building exercise, it has been a constant process, and why not? He's a politician too. So he has to keep building his image. But his image is through his work, as he has been trying to do. He has been trying to project his image as somebody who is a do-gooder, who keeps thinking about the people all the time, who is thinking about their welfare all the time. So if that's the way he's building his image, I think there is no harm in it.
Shivam wants to know, how difficult will it be for the BJP to find a successor, if any?
Well, if you are looking for somebody who would be matching Narendra Modi in stature, BJP has none. But when you talk about possible successors, I can talk about two right now. It's just totally speculative. But first, of course, has to be Amit Shah. He has been there, he is the comrade in arms, and he has been the one who has been executing everything that the PM has wished for within the party, within the government. And he is already de facto number 2 in the government.
Right.
He has a total grip on the organization even now. So I would say he would be a clear successor. But of course, you have Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also aspiring for it. You look at his words and actions, he's already aiming for this. If you and recently, actually, you had all these talks in UP going on again when Yogi Adityanath did not go for the cremation of his father. That okay, I have to focus on the people of the state.
The corona pandemic.
Because of the corona pandemic, I cannot be getting myself involved in family matters. So that kind of sacrifice that was being projected. I mean, nobody stops a chief minister from going there for a couple of hours and coming back. I mean, it does not affect your pandemic management.
But the perception that it.
But the perception is trying to build that, like Modi, who has given up everything and who even stays away from the family to focus on building the nation, working for the people. Well, I am also doing that. That's what Yogi Adityanath would like people to understand.
Suraj wants to know something which you have already answered, but he wants to know, can we see any new person emerging before 2024? Probably not, someone who's not too much in focus right now.
There was a time when Devendra Fadnavis was being talked about. Although totally speculative, there was no reason. He was, first-time MLA who, one-term MLA who went on to become the Chief Minister of Maharashtra.
Right.
With the backing of the Prime Minister, and he proved himself efficient also. And that actually started the talk here in Delhi political circles that he could be the possible successor. But as long as Amit Shah is around, I don't really see anybody coming in the reckoning anytime.
Even close to that.
No.
Raghav Garg wants to know that Modi's present image is what made him sustainable. So do you think he will look to change that now that you're talking about, you initially talked about how he has to now focus on other areas?
No, present image, look, his image was, as opposition leaders taunt, person with 56-inch chest.
Yes.
As a strong leader. Decisive leader. In his first term, we saw him taking being so decisive in every front. Even in the second term, nullification of Article 370 was a decisive move. So he has remained decisive. As for being a strong leader, right now you have to watch, because the kind of things which we are witnessing vis-a-vis China, how he deals with it, will actually go a long way in reinforcing that image or weakening that image. That we'll see. But so far he has remained strong and decisive.
So would you say that would be the make or break sort of a issue?
Economy again, because your economy is in shambles today. And we don't really see many things moving forward. Don't forget, Modi's popularity was built on the support of the youth for him, for his developmental agenda. Today you have millions of youth all around, all jobless. Every day there are thousands of people losing jobs. And we do not really see any blueprint right now for the revival of the economy. No clear blueprint. If that doesn't happen, how it will actually change his image in public, we don't know. But Modi, I would say, you have seen his flowing beard now. He looks saint-like. So I would expect that, when you have this saintly image, people look at you very differently. Like, you do not blame God for something bad happens to you. You blame it on your karma. So you don't blame God. I would say Modi, going by the recent surveys actually, despite pandemic mismanagement in my assessment, economic mismanagement, so much of confusion on the borders, his popularity remains, there is an overwhelming majority of the people who are still supporting him for everything. So he has got that saintly image now.
And he's also become, obviously he has been, but he's become bigger than the party. So, the decisions of the government or the party, they don't reflect always.
Right from day one. Actually, in 2015, there was a book by a foreign writer actually. He had interviewed the Prime Minister then, and the Prime Minister had said very clearly that people were looking, the vote was not for an organization, for any party. People were looking for somebody, some individual who would actually fulfill their aspirations. And he happened to be that individual. Also. So he has been much larger than the party right from day one.
Suraj wants to know, how can Congress or any other opposition party take advantage of the situation, that is Modi requiring an image makeover? The fact that he needs a makeover means that there is something going wrong, he's saying that.
Congress, I don't know, because you do not really see anything in the opposition. Let me just point out what happened in Parliament on the first day, in the election of the Rajya Sabha Vice Chairman. Now the opposition had fielded Manoj Jha of the RJD as its candidate. And he had filed the nomination papers also. At the last moment, the Congress, all the opposition parties, they refused to ask for division of votes, because Trinamool Congress informed these guys that we are not with you on this. And so did TRS. So opposition is totally splintered even now. So you do not say, and coming to the leadership of the opposition, you don't really have any leader who would really challenge him. As I mentioned in my politically correct show on Monday, the so-called, call him pretender, contender for the Prime Minister's post in future, Rahul Gandhi, he decided to travel abroad. When it came to cornering the government in Parliament over whatever issues he has been raising all these months. So given that kind of seriousness in the opposition camp, you don't really see any challenge to him.
Rushant Pawar wants to know, why is the economic slowdown not affecting Modi's popularity? You also touched upon it, that this is an important issue, so why is it still not impacting his?
That's a great, this is something we have been talking a lot about, thinking a lot about. As JP Nadda wrote in Amar Ujala today, I think he encapsulates what is happening today as Modi hai to bharosha hai. So people have not given up hope on him yet. Because personally they have seen him doing his best. And they would also probably give him the benefit of doubt that pandemic is something he couldn't have expected, and that's how it had happened. Although, as our editor-in-chief Shekhar Gupta pointed out in one of his Cut the Clutter programs, that economy did not start going down from April onwards. It started right in 2018. And your growth rate has been coming down bit by bit, it has been coming down. The pandemic has only accelerated it. But then people still have great faith in the Prime Minister, that he is the only leader, if at all there is any possibility of bringing about the change, only Modi can achieve it.
Naresh wants to know, what is the reason when you say he's destroying his image in this second term? What do you mean by that, and why will he do it? Is he underestimating the opposition?
No, I did not say he's destroying his image. I said that there have been developments on the national security front, on economy and COVID management that has really taken the sheen of the government, and right now the government seems clueless, I would say, because you do not really see any clear-cut roadmap to get out of all this crisis. So I'm not saying he's destroying his image.
Last question. Were you saying something?
No.
Taran wants to know, how will nationalism card affect poll results for BJP and PM Modi, and how it will fit into his entire legacy as you are talking about?
Nationalism card, well, it has been working for Modi all through. It worked in the last election, also post Balakot. China would be what happens at the line of actual control would have a lot of bearing on how this nationalism plays out. If we are able to push the Chinese out of wherever they are now, from say Pangong Lake area, from finger 8 to finger 4 area, where they have come and occupied some of our territories. If we are able to push them out, if we are able to give them a strong response, I think nationalism will remain the BJP's strong point. And anyway, there is some kind of ownership of national security issues with the BJP now. But has always been, actually. Although you will say that Congress won the 65 war, 71 war, I mean, it was Congress-ruled government, which did very well. But still, at least since 90s, I would say, or late 90s, nationalism, national security issues have been totally with the BJP. Congress hasn't really been able to somehow, pitchfork itself as the party which would be, which owns that issue, or which can actually seek a mandate on that issue.
Thank you for such a detailed explanation. Well, thanks for being with us. We will continue to get you more such detailed explanation, political analysis. So do join us next time.